So let's go ahead and get started. So to start, if you guys wouldn't mind, just whoever wants to go first, just introduce yourself, your role in the band, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Liv. I founded the band, started writing for us back in 2014. We started playing shows in 2016, um, and I play guitar and I sing for the group. One of the guitar players and one of the singers for the group. And let's see. My favorite band at the moment is Immortal, as you can see by my massive flag on my this side of the room over here. And gosh, my day job is helping adults with autism, so I'm a psychologist. And I don't know, is that did you want anything more, or is that cool?
That works for me if that works for you.
Sweet, hell yeah! All right.
My name is Eddie Shifflet. I am also guitars and other vocals. I've been in other guitar, other vocals, and writing. I've been in the band since 2017. Um, and outside of this, I teach music, teach guitar, and I have a very awesome cat named Sophie.
Love it.
That's me.
So
We love Sophie very much.
Oh,
Yes, he's great.
all right. My name is Dan. Dan Saillant. I play bass. I do a lot of our live production stuff, including dealing with our live sessions, our monitors, and then sometimes I play bass, and sometimes it's okay. Professionally, I do administration for a cancer research lab at Boston Children's Hospital, and I teach a marching band.
awesome.
Watching him do both over the course of this past week was it was like a sitcom of like him coming home and being like, okay, cool, I have now finished one job, it is now time for me to start the next job. Meanwhile, it's like 11:30 p.m.
Oh,
Like
jeez.
Oh yeah, that'll go into it. It's like I wake up at 7 in the morning. I have to go teach for 3 hours, and then I get an hour break in which I have to go right back to writing for the marching band, and then I teach for another 3 hours, and then I have a 2 hour break in which I have to keep writing for the marching band, and then I have to teach for another 4 hours, and then I get to go home, and then I still write for the marching band for like 4 hours. So
Wow.
that's done. Luckily, camp is over. Band camp is brutal, but it's a lot of fun. It's rewarding. So.
See, I thought you meant both at the same time for a second. I was like, wow, that's impressive. Like the administrative work and teaching the marching band. Like I'm just seeing you like typing, be like, yeah, now do this.
Yeah. Well, I tried that for a few days, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
just completely. It was yeah. I think I did last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I was doing that, and it was just too much. I couldn't do 2 days.
Wow.
Brutal.
Yes.
Have the band come to the office. It'll be fine.
180 people stuck in the middle of Boston Children's Hospital, just blasting away John Williams music. Incredible.
Awesome. And last but not least,
Alex, you do.
All right, my name is Alexander Paiva. I play drums. I joined the band about exactly a year ago, and for my job, I work at IHG Intercontinental, which is in Boston, and I'm a steward over there. But other than that, yeah, I'm also in like 4 other projects. So I've been keeping busy between trying to make time between work and the bands I'm in. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, just no,
well,
like
you all know how it goes with drummers. Like drummers are
extraordinary compared to the rest of you guys.
Yeah. Drummers
don't even talk like that, dog, for sure. Like,
drummers are super humble. Alex is amazing.
from what I've heard, I definitely agree. Everything I've heard so far, I've not got to hear the whole album yet, but from what's been released so far, fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start with just some questions here. So how do you all feel that you have progressed as a band between your first self-titled album and your second album, Ghost of Humanity?
well, that's an interesting question. The lineup on the self-titled was completely different. than what you see here. Technically, I am the only member that has carried over from them, but I have also transitioned in that time. So there's a different name and like a different vibe of a person on that record. So effectively, the entire lineup is different for Ghost of Humanity. So the main, like, if I were to keep it short, you know, how we've progressed is we've essentially become a new band. And, you know, I think that the spirit of that statement, you know, is still applicable, you know, in a less literal kind of way, just because, like, you know, Eddie's been in the band for basically as long as I have at this point. Like, and, you know, we have been just like honing our craft and like really trying to decide like what we want to sound like and like, you know, what influences we want to bring in, you know, over the course of the 6 years that it took to get Ghost of Humanity out. um, and You know, we've like completely reinvented ourselves because the first record was very like traditional, you know, like kind of United States power metal kind of business, which like that's fun for sure, but like we've got so many inspirations and influences outside of that, like you know, like my like main squeeze is the Scandinavian melodic death metal kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And then like Eddie comes from like a death Lamb of God kind of perspective. And then, you know, including everybody, like Dan brings in this amazing progressive flavor. Like, you know, he's gotten us all into like Alkaloid and Obscura and like Beyond Creation and stuff like that, which is so sick, so
Mhm.
incredible. And then like Alex can do like everything. Like, you know, if you look at his YouTube channel, he does covers of like Dream Theater, Cradle of Filth, like just you name it. Like he is on top of it all. And so like we just have all of these really cool influences that we figured like, well, let's just like utilize them all, you know? And you know, we just when we're like now, especially like since we are like together as a unit and have been for a while and are you know, like really getting to know each other's personalities musically, like the way that we write is just like so just cool and cohesive and stuff. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but the the point being that you know, we are all like fans of music as much as we are like performers, and so we just kind of decide like, oh man, like what do we like right now, what do we want to write, like what do we want to like smash together and like see what happens. And you know, that kind of resulted in Ghost of Humanity. You know, like it's there's a ton of genres on there, and you know, we think that there's a little something for everybody. You know, basically, if you like extreme metal, you will probably like Ghost of Humanity.
Yeah, when I first like entered the band, like I got to see Ice Giant live a couple times, and just like Liz said, I got that like classic power metal, classic thrash like vibe, and I understand it was like a really fun band and some great potential. So as Liv and I started to like work on these new tunes, and she came forward like a lot of ideas already, and I was like, this is where it's going. It's like honing in those great thrash and power metal elements and moving it forward into this awesome tech prog direction. And then as we just got to write those like her unique influences and the power metal, like I said, and me for like death metal, just like this fit together really well and to kind of help like complete that whole sound. And then like a lot, like we introduced a lot with the symphonic, or we just knew like we want a really cinematic presentation with everything, to have symphonic orchestra as well as different sound design elements maybe that you might see in movies and things like that. So it's a lot of elements got like elevated new elements, and yeah, cool. Excited.
Awesome. Alexander, either one of you want to chime in on that? I know that you weren't on the first record, but if feel free to chime in anything you'd like to, of course.
We're not on the second one either.
Oh, that's
We
right.
joined, we joined a little bit later, but just like from a songwriting perspective, like when I was as I was joining, the mixes were being done.
Mhm.
So I'm not performing on the record either. We had Peter Dorena playing on the record, and he is a player that has been somebody that I look up to for a while. So I'm a huge fan of his projects, Seven Spires, and then more recently, OK Good Night. He's an incredible bass player.
Mhm.
And just as the mixes were being done, and I was kind of able to hear all of the layers getting stacked on top of each other slowly, it just like the levels of nuance in the project is, I think it'll surprise a lot of people. I think it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about the writing process for Ghost of Humanity, and when did you start writing it, and was there any specific inspiration for the concept album?
It started pretty much like right before I entered the band, and then really took off when I entered the band. Like I said, Liv had a lot of ideas set up and bringing those styles together. So she brought in some ideas, and then we worked together on like arrangement, adding new riffs, adding melody and shape. And then as we got to write together, we got to form newer songs on the record. And then concept wise started to come a little bit after the music instrumentation of the record. I was discovering like Star Trek and things like that, really getting this like meaningful like theme driven sci-fi and things like that. And I think we all like we really shared that we wanted to say something like special with the record, like special about that humanity can be working in a better direction, that we can save our environment, that we can get rid of these negative things, the negative uses of like capitalism and colonialism and all these things like in our country today and throughout history. And I really like history too, and I just was like can see these patterns over and over, and just like, let's stop that pattern. So like we were trying to get that through and to this like space opera of just like a futuristic Earth, people like having to escape this biomechanical plague, and they find this other constellation of peaceful planets and what Earth could be in the future. So we kind of like finished shaping, especially lyrics, but everything throughout the record is kind of maybe saying something one of the groups in the story is. It's kind of conveying maybe the positivity of a moment or the downfall of a moment, or things like that. And yeah, it's kicking around a lot of ideas, and over like COVID as well. But yeah, like it took a couple of years and pretty much started right away in 2017.
Awesome. Well, I have to ask though, what is your favorite Star Trek?
Oh,
I'm a huge Trekkie, so I have to ask.
and I can't like, full disclosure, like I haven't like gone through the whole lore, but it's like
there's a lot to go through, so don't worry.
it's like I can't.
That's okay.
Between the original and the next, there's like, you give props to the original for like trying to get that whole premise across of like theme driven sci-fi and things like that. And like, so it's nice to see that they both kind of share that. There's obviously technological improvements on that second one, but I can't.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Brittany, you should ask me that same question.
I would love to.
DS9 the whole way, like there's no competition. Like Captain Sisko, my boy, like Garrick is a queer icon, like let me just say that right now.
100%.
Yes, right. Anyway, love Next Generation though. Jean-Luc, my boy, always. But yeah, no, DS9, not even close for me.
Yeah, DS9. I have a friend that she's always loved Star Trek, and I've been trying for many years to force her to watch DS9. She's like, it's slow at the beginning. I'm like, just get through it and get to the Dominion War. I promise it picks up, and it's amazing. And you can hear Garrick tell you how he's just a plain and simple tailor many times, and it's really funny.
This man will kill you. Like, plain and simple Taylor.
Yes. I'm just plain and simple Garrick. Love that. I absolutely love Star Trek. So listen, I have a Borg tattoo on my neck. My husband and I,
oh my god, that's so cool.
Our wedding was actually themed to Star Trek versus Star Wars, because one of the first things I ever asked him was, I was like, do you like Star Trek? And he's like, I like Star Wars, to mess with me, because he actually didn't like it, but he wanted to mess with me. And it became such a running joke, we ended up theming our whole wedding to it. So
that's amazing,
motherfucker.
Yeah, whenever I hear Star Trek, I'm like, oh, I gotta ask about Star Trek. But let's get back to metal.
we would have played that. We would have played that wedding.
It would have been. It was in the Maryland Science Center, so it was very nerdy.
Right there. Cool.
Yep. Awesome. So now with the writing of this new album though, what was your favorite part of the writing process when making any kind and even just making new material in general?
Well, that's like one of my favorite parts of just being in a band at all. Like, my whole MO as a person is connecting with people. And so I figure that, like, if I can express a feeling through music, then somebody out there is going to relate to it, and that's a connection built. And it happens to be through, excuse me, happens to be through this medium of rock and roll that like is just such a fun and high energy way to communicate. And it just makes me so happy to be able to like achieve those connections, in that way. Um, and also like, you know, like if you're like if you're a musician and you stumble across like a cool chord that you haven't used before and you're just like, ooh, like just the texture of that is so nice, and you're like, I'll get like excited to like use like this new thing that I found and like I put it here. It's like I'm like I don't know, like if a squirrel and a mad scientist were the same person and they ended up playing heavy metal, that's like my personality. So like that's where like all this is coming from.
I love it.
But also, I with Ice Giant songs, the stuff that I write rarely ends with me. So like one of my favorite things to do will be like, okay, I've written a song and like it's pretty good, but like it needs to be like excellent. So I'll like just be like, Dan, here you go. Like do what you want with this. And like, almost 100% of the time, like whenever any of these guys come back with those songs, it's like a million times better. And I'm just like, whoa. So that's like another one of my favorite parts is when the collaborative effort turns these songs into these just amazing pieces. It makes me so happy. And the greatest example of it, I think to me, on Ghost of Humanity at least, is the song Legacy, which is the last track on the album. And I wrote that one, and like I said earlier, it was okay. But then I gave it to Eddie. And then Eddie came back later on and he was like, how about this? And I was like, oh my God. And then we gave it to Vikram Shankar, who is in Silent Skies and Redemption, and he did the orchestrations for our entire record. And so after we got the song back from him with all of that stuff, I was just over the freaking moon. So, like I said, when the collaborative effort creates like a product that is more than just the sum of its parts, it's like, just this amazing thing that all of us like, poured our souls into. I love, 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 love when that happens. So, yeah.
Same.
Awesome.
Same.
Just same for everybody. And
Oh, yeah.
I could say that the collaborative effort of it, just kind of like it's like you have the structure of something like, and not just the bones, but it's like you kind of got all of it, and then it just like piles on to like really make something that's like the baby you all have together. I guess you could say.
Yeah, and it's like something that like we can like, it's easy for us to I think even glaze over at this point, but we've kind of established this really good sense of communication where it's like no egos, and like they just like honestly letting everyone's strengths come forward and everything like that. So like I trust my bandmates to like really think through like what they're doing and pour their heart onto something. And so like it's good to have, it's lovely to have tracks where everyone's like soul is imprinted on there, and it's, yeah.
Awesome. So, and this can apply to anything, but just with the second album under your belt, what do you think you prefer more, playing live or recording in the studio, or both for different reasons?
I guess if I had to pick one, I guess it would be playing live, but it's like kind of so apples and oranges to me, because like the recording process took like it can be painful because we see the vision of what the album looks like, but I'm still sitting right here having to like for like get everything recorded out. There's with while I was recording too, there was some opportunities to like where I was just throwing in like some like one take things or some leads I didn't know I was going to put on there, or like different things, different layers. So you can have a lot of fun layering things up that you didn't know, like in that final process. But live, if I could have a crowd standing here cheer me on to do it a bit, maybe it would level it out a little bit. But like just having that connection with us live and how we just go up there and just lose it and just throw down and just like really establish that connection. And so I mean I would have to go live, but it's just it's just different parts of the whole thing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
studio recording is a process that's like 100% about like the subtle and the minutia. You know, like as you're recording things, like you have to really pay very close attention to timing and tone and how it mixes in with everything else. Whereas live, you just don't have the time to really think about all those tiny little subtle things. You just kind of have to do your best with those minutia things. And like playing it live is about taking everything you've learned in the production of the studio and reproducing it entirely via like your personality on stage. So in the studio, it's all about the music. Live, it's like probably half about the music and half about the personality of you on stage. So it's a different experience. They're both important, but it's wonderful either way. So I love doing both.
Yeah.
If I could also add like kind of to that point too, like there was like especially after that last studio session with Brian Westbrook, who mixed the record, who's amazing, runs RPM, Sonic Titan Studios, and we were there for like 9 days, and we had to condition, and we were going in there to like finish all of the vocals and harmonies and like some like extra guitar tracks. And that process too, we came out of that way tighter, so like recording and that album, like exactly how Dan put it, it's like it kind of gets you like it elevates you to a different level to then take it live. To where like before that recording process might not have been possible or it's tight. So like you learn a lot of things in that recording process and makes it easier to bring that live. And like and there's when you're recording also, to Dan's other point, it's like you just have to, even if I sit here and play something correct, sonically something might not be working out with just how I was holding my fingers. So then you like, this is like just like different little things you have to like really pay attention to. Or maybe I need to change the octave over to here, even though it's the same octave, it's like different parts of the guitar sound different. So like all those little tiny things and how like layers stack up and harmonies are working out, nothing, no pitches are off. So it just helps tighten everything up so you can bring it live too.
So what you were saying earlier about like if you had an audience, so you're saying you want a live studio audience to be cheering you on, right?
Hey, there you
go.
Yeah, take 75.
Yeah. He's drinking his 15th cup of coffee. He's gonna die. Well, might be slightly nerve-wracking, but no.
All right, Alex, what about you? What do you think for live, studio, both?
It's hard to pick either, honestly. But I was going with Dan's answer. I was like both. But I feel like when it comes, like it's something like he would say, when it's comes to recording, it's like, to me, if it's like not only like you're creating something new, but also it's like everyone's like honing their skills at the same time when it comes to like writing new material or like recording. And then when you play live, it's like you're just showing like everyone like what we all learn, and then see like how much like as time goes by like the sound has changed, and how much they evolved or something like that. So I mean, to be in my end, I didn't really record as much other than just for me with just YouTube covers I did over the years. But after reviewing, looking back and see what could be done to make the sound better, reading the comments or feedback basically, and just constantly like getting try to stay motivated like what to do next, to feel like in the recording process, like when I do covers, like try to not get too perfect. Well, like when it comes to like recording drum checks, but sometimes could be sometimes like that takes you. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. It's like
No, it can be.
I'm not much of a good at explaining things.
No, you're good. I get you
Oh
saying
yeah.
it's nerve wracking in different ways. It's kind of what I was getting from that,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm saying like the more you do, like recording wise, like it's best like not to like get too perfect. Then, but sometimes like one take you make, it could be like yeah the one like you were actually looking for, rather than like trying like going over and over and over, and then getting exhausted for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
If I could like throw one more thing into like a difference between obviously recording this record and playing it live, is that Liv and I have gotten to see Dan and Alex like make the parts their own and like tear the hell out of them. Like incredibly impressive, and like all like the growth that's happened over the past like couple of years of bringing those parts forward has been really cool to see. So everyone come see us on tour starting
Yeah.
September 8th, because we've done our like one-offs and like some short stretches, like we did one with Empress not long ago, but like this is going to be next level, and like everyone could see that the album presented like as it should be. Everyone's like really tearing it up.
Awesome. And of course, Liv, what's your preference?
Oh,
If you
I
have
mean,
to choose, you don't have to
right,
choose.
yeah.
You can pick both.
Yeah, no, I mean, so the answer is both, because like, and everybody's basically said everything that I would have said at this point. Where like, it's like studio is great because like that's where you can get your most creativity out, and like I love just like I love making art, and like music is like my favorite way to do that. And so like being in the studio and doing that, it just feels amazing and cathartic, and it's like it's close to a purpose on this planet as I can find. So that's pretty cool. But then live is just a whole different animal, man. And like I started playing music because I wanted to play live. Like and like I'm well aware that this band has come under fire and blah blah blah, but like before all of that happened, I had watched a video of Dimebag Darrell playing at the 1991 Russia show with Pantera, and that's the one where there's like a sea of a million people. You cannot see the back, and like Dime's just up there going fucking ape shit, and like everybody's going nuts for him, and like he's going nuts for them, and the tunes are sick, and everybody's having a great time. And I was 14 years old, and I was just like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And so that's kind of been the jam ever since then. So I guess like if I had to pick, playing live would have just a little bit of a leg up on doing studio stuff. I love them both, but like I play music because I want to play live. So I'm very excited for tour, as you might imagine.
Absolutely. All right, so changing gears a little bit, what are your all's thoughts on the music industry currently, especially obviously in regards to the metal industry?
Ooh, big question.
Yeah.
Well, the landscape is certainly changing, as it always does, but like like it had things had been becoming more digital and online for a while now, but I think really during the pandemic that like got accelerated. And so you're finding a lot of bands that have incredible online presences now, especially with like Discord servers and Twitch streams and like all this kind of stuff that you can consume outside of seeing them live, which is very cool and a good way to stay relevant. But of course, that means that your band members have to be streamers and moderators and like like all sorts of different kinds of entertainers besides just being musicians. If you want to like maintain that level of personality online, and tons of bands are doing that and doing it wonderfully. Like Unleash the Archers does a great job of that. Herman Lee and Dragon Force do that really well, and even like Empress and Seven Kingdoms, Lords of the Trident, all those guys have an incredible online presence, and like those are our friends, you know.
Hmm.
So like it's seeming more likely that like you're gonna find your fans in those online spaces nowadays, because like any band will tell you that just playing live and selling like merch and stuff barely gets you anywhere, at least when you're small. Um, but you know, getting online, making these communities, and you know, developing a following, sometimes even like a almost like a cult for your band. um, that's kind of the way to you know, have like a hardcore fan base nowadays, because like the hardcore fans, these guys will buy all of your merch, they will attend all of your streams, and they will you know, like rep you till they fucking can't. Um, and that is so important. Because think about that person goes to anywhere and they're wearing an Ice Giant shirt, and somebody's like, "Oh, what's that band?" And then they geek out about that band, and then that's a pretty convincing argument for the other person to then go look you up.
Hmm.
Um, so what I'm trying to say is like, as far as like the industry goes, like this DIY effort of being online and developing a fan base for yourself is like paramount nowadays. And it's interesting because like this is all the work that like labels and stuff used to do for you. And like, you know, they still do, but just like they don't pay attention to us folks down here.
Hmm.
So like getting online is like kind of the way to do it. So anyway, I'll be Twitch streaming tomorrow at 7. That's a joke. I will not be doing that.
Okay,
Um,
I thought you had I was like, okay, cool. Like,
We will soon.
We will
soon.
be doing that.
Yeah.
yeah, we are working on that actually. We do have a Discord server. That is true.
awesome.
I think Liv put that perfectly. And yeah, in an optimistic light, it's an ability to take it all into your own hands. And like after all the work like we've done, like we're holding all of our cards to where if we want to work with somebody, we can make that decision if but yeah, we can choose these communities that we have like built around us, and we don't need to outsource as much things to make our own content, because we can just do that, and everyone here has experience and skills to do that, and can let our personalities come forward. So if we can just keep getting out the word and keep doing what we do, I think it's gonna keep working out.
Yeah. Dan,
Yeah,
Alex, you guys
COVID
want-
really was a complete. I'm sorry, my internet is.
No, I was just gonna ask
to
if
cut
you
anyone
guys
off.
wanted to add anything, so you're good.
Yeah. My COVID really was a massive. I don't think people are quite registering just how massive a paradigm shift COVID really was. Like, yeah, sure, there was a shutdown for a while, but the ripple effects of that shutdown are still being felt now, and they probably will be felt for another couple of years at the very least. And that is exemplified by considerations that we had to make while booking our tour, because pretty much every day, if not every week, for the last probably year and a half, tour announcement, tour announcement, tour announcement, tour announcement, tour announcement. Every single band is touring right now because they had an entire year when they couldn't, a year plus even. So while we were booking our tour, we knew we wanted to release our album around this time of year. We knew it was going to be done around now, just because there's a lot of local things happening around, like RPM Fest, for example, which we played at last year. And that's like a huge community event in Massachusetts and New England and the local area up here. So we knew we wanted to release around now. And we started booking shows, and then a tour would be announced, and I'm like frantically thinking like, oh God, is that going to overlap with our date? Like, you know, is there going to be a huge show at MGM Music Hall, like down the street from the Middle East, where we have our release show that's going to completely cannibalize our entire audience? And this is not really, you know, it's not something that we didn't have to think about previously. We did, sure, but nowhere near to this degree. Like just on this tour alone, and the week that we're going to be out between the 8th and 15th, I think is our last day.
Yeah.
Mr. Bungle is touring. Death Clock and Baby Metal are touring together. Vola is on tour.
Frog
Space
Power is
Cowboy.
happening.
Frog
Sea of
Power,
Space
yeah,
Cowboy,
like,
there's
oh my
there's
God.
so many.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's especially
Yeah,
like I said
so
right now.
that's
That's
it's
it gets
really
tricky.
mhm. So being that we're
I'm so
almost a
mad.
completely we're like almost completely an independent DIY band. We produce well, with the help of Brian Westbrook and Sonic Titan Studios, and Jack Costo did our mastering, but otherwise, we wrote it. Um, we are the ones that were at the forefront of all that production. We booked our own tour. We had the art commissioned, but like all of the photoshopping and the CD production and the merch production, all of this is on us. And being DIY like that is easier than ever now, because also the pandemic has forced the hands of a lot of people like that, where if we want to do this whole band thing, if we want to make music our career, we need to be able to play shows, and we need to be able to have those opportunities, in addition to really carving out a great online space for ourselves. And being that the pandemic forced everybody onto the internet for about a year and a half, means that pathways and systems for booking shows have been made a lot more accessible by necessity, because if the band needs to survive, then we need to be able to book shows. And being that, the internet has developed so much, like Zoom, even, for example, like Zoom calls like this were not really a commonplace thing until about that happened. And just the advancement of technology, the advancement of the interconnectedness of all of our communities over the internet over the course of the pandemic, I think has really helped us a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. When my husband started doing interviews in the early 2000s, he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to have to like the label would have it like organized that because he'd be calling other countries, they'd have to like set up this weird like call system to call him through their system so that he didn't have to pay for the, all the stuff. And then he had to do a phone interview and try to record that. And it was so much easier now."
Mm-hmm.
Alex, anything you want to add? Oh, we lost Eddie, I think.
What happened?
Accidental disconnect or something.
So I'm the one that I thought I was going to lose.
Maybe he's getting
lose things
hurricane
because
down there.
let me see here. We'll give him a second to see if he
I
wants
will
to.
add one just like quick like aside thing. I'm really proud of Ice Giant. We have not missed playing. Like we have played every year since our inception, and that includes the pandemic. We didn't play during the pandemic. I'm not. We did not do that. Like we were responsible when everything got locked down. But in early 2019. We played a show before everything got shut down, and then when things were starting to lift, like near the end of 2020, we got to play another show. So effectively, we did not break our streak of playing shows every year while still being responsible.
Nice. Yeah. So I to echo off of the point though about the Clash.
And he says,
his internet went out.
Electricity went out.
Oh shit! Okay, that sucks.
Yeah. I'm fine. Do you guys want to wait for him and see if he can get back on, or do we want to move forward and?
We can keep rolling. Like this might take a bit for him. If he comes back, then we'll catch him up.
Yeah, sounds good. So I was gonna say though about the clashes and stuff. I remember here in Tampa we had one where the same like day, Catatonia and I think it was Cannibal Corpse were playing the same day. And so like we went to Catatonia, and while they were there, they're like, "Thank you guys for not going to Cannibal Corpse." Like they made a big joke about it. They're like, "Thanks for picking us." But it was like then you had this massive
That's
divide.
gonna be us in Philadelphia.
Oh, you guys?
Because in Philly, it's the same day as the Baby Metal Death Clock show. So like anybody who shows up for us, we're gonna be like, "Thanks for choosing us, y'all."
Yeah,
New York too. It's the same night as Vola.
Oh,
fuckers, dude. Sorry, can I swear on this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Fuckers, dude. It sucks.
Yeah, that's I would love to come to one of your shows, but like I'm doing Prog Power, so I'm gonna be at Prog Power that whole time. So, and also
what are you gonna do? You know?
I keep telling like was your tour mate Scorched Moon. I told him I'm like when you guys play another date in Atlanta that I can go to, it's not that far of a drive. I can come up for the weekend, but I can't. I already had Prague Power tickets, and I'm also going to be photographing the festival, so gonna have to be there now. So, oh, I think that Eddie is back. Let's see. It says iPhone wants to enter. So,
Ooh.
Must be this.
Steve Jobs has joined the chat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm
Must
alive.
be have an interloper. Oh, he's back.
I'm
He
alive.
lived.
I'm not in Florida, and my internet just randomly went out. My
I-
power just.
that's crazy. Yeah, I was like, oh, if anyone that was going to lose it, I thought it'd be me.
Right? You can.
Awesome. We were just we kind of chatted for a moment, so
Awesome. Can you hear my voice?
yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Awesome.
alive.
Well, so kind of playing off what we were talking about the DIY effort, because so many bands are choosing that the independent route over a record label nowadays. Can you tell me your guys' thoughts as a band that has gone this route, if you intend to stay that way, and what do you feel are some of the advantages or disadvantages to being an independent DIY artist?
Dan, I feel like that's a you question.
That is definitely a me question. I do a lot of the business side of things and like booking side of things, management. That's not like, we all take responsibilities and share in that effort, but like that has been like a big focus of mine for the last couple of months. Being an independent artist allows us to have complete control over everything we're doing at any given moment. And I think that a lot of smaller bands especially kind of get spooked by the concept of record labels, because you hear like all these like kind of sensationalized, romanticized stories of bands getting screwed by record labels or like losing ownership of their music and things like that. And that does happen to an extent. Whenever you're on a record label, the record label is primarily there for distribution of your music. So like they'll get it onto streaming services, they'll get the CDs out into stores, they'll get vinyls made if it's economically feasible to do so, and then you get a percentage of your sales instead of all of the sales. So what we have decided to do is, we're a smaller band. Could we have submitted this album to a record label and seen if we got attention and distribution through a record label? We absolutely could have. But we chose to go this route just so we could keep 100% or roughly 100% of our royalties. And in addition to that, especially in the advent of the internet, there are lots of relatively easy ways for bands to get their own distribution nowadays. Like we're using DistroKid, for example. CD Baby is the same thing. I think we used CD Baby on the previous album. So like digital distribution is very easily accessible nowadays. And it's not super expensive. So there's not really any reason for us to need wider distribution yet. But in the future, I think our goal is to try and see what we can do as far as record labels go. But when we do that, it's either going to be on the next album or the album after that, depending on how we're doing with this one. Because we want to make sure that this band has a stable enough financial foundation for us to continue growing, and for record label distribution to not hamper us too severely. So the biggest benefit to record label, other than the wider distribution opportunities, is that as a band continues to grow, the workload also continues to grow. So right now, all it is just, we submit to DistroKid and we're done, and we get CDs printed, and then we have to ship a bunch of things. But like, what happens in the hypothetical future in which we end up with like 40,000 Spotify listeners and we're selling like 100 CDs a day? And it just becomes infeasible for us at a certain point. And that's where record labels and booking things and all that help, because it offsets the workload. And also, record labels have been doing it for years and years and years and years at any given point. So they're a well-oiled machine, which we're kind of figuring it out as we go. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's a great answer. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I think like and definitely all in that same vein. Like we've been building this to like run this whole thing as a business. Like we're in LLC, we're producing our inventory, we have a good creative process to keep music coming, and so we'll take those meetings as they come, but I just feel that they're definitely looking for bands that are already established where they have that strong financial base. If they go into business with us, they know that we can hit the road and we can tour and we can do the thing. So it's like it might be easy for maybe a band that hasn't gone through all those steps to have some like contentment or something for it, but I don't think that's like merited, you know. Like those labels are still existing and they're a business as well. So I think like bands that are established and like are ready to hit it, then those labels are like going to show some more interest. So I think that's not for the sake of that, obviously, but I think that's some of the things that are going to be coming across with this album release and this tour that Ice Giant's ready to go. Ready.
Awesome. So, kind of in that same note, with along with the current state of the music industry and the touring costs, a lot of bands have been utilizing things such as crowdfunding, through like GoFundMe or Kickstarters, to help with fund those albums and tours. What are your all thought on things like GoFundMe, Kickstarter, or what about like Patreon for providing exclusive content to fans?
Well, we made one. I just linked it in the chat.
Yep, I do have a note to myself on my question sheet that I'm like, link GoFundMe here.
Ah! Hell yeah, thank you. Yeah, we said earlier, we are a very DIY project right now, and being in a band is extremely expensive. Like, there's just no way around that except for like learning how to conduct your business very well, and sometimes the generosity of others. So, we, as would be implied through this, we are for the crowdfunding kind of approach, and there have been some incredibly generous people who have, told us through their donations that they want to see us continue things, or do things at like the pace that we wish we could, and it's pretty nice, and like, because like, and to me personally, it's like, you're not like some people will buy CDs and vinyl, and a lot of people still buy merch, which is great, but like, it's all like less than it used to be as far as like the greater scene of heavy metal is concerned. And then like also like thinking about like what I was saying earlier with like we all have to be like, multifaceted entertainers. Paying for like donating to bands in this way, like especially with like the Patreon thing, is basically being like, I want to see you do all of these aspects of entertaining, like focused around your music. But I'm going to pay like the subscription fee for that, or I'm going to donate to your GoFundMe so that you can produce this thing. And like that corresponds to like this whole like new landscape of music that we've been talking about. It's like it's not like bands are asking their fans to give more money than they used to. It's just a different way of receiving it for the bands, and then it's output in a different way than it used to look too. But a lot of metal fans are like, I'm gonna try and phrase this like not as harshly, but a lot of them are kind of stuck in the past, and like just are kind of like, you're a band, you should be doing only that, and like asking for anything more is entitled and blah blah blah, and that's just not true nowadays. Like the landscape is different, and you have to adapt in certain ways, and this is one of them. So
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
Okay. No, I 100% agree. And I think it's one of those things that people need to remember. No one's requiring you to donate. If you can't donate or that's not your thing, you're not required to. You can still enjoy the music through things like Spotify and, doing things like buying vinyls or whatever you want to do. I'm very pro, the Patreon, GoFundMe, Kickstarter, because I think it is, like you said, it's a great way to go ahead and move forward with the way technology has moved forward.
Yeah, and I think people will get their money's worth, because there we go. You keep supporting these bands, and like we said in the beginning, we're working day jobs, and like the more resources we have, the more content and fan outreach we can do, and a lot of things with Patreon and things like that will be extra content anyways. So it's just another level in which fans can have like a direct hand in supporting the project, and yeah, it's very much appreciated,
Yeah,
and people will get their money's worth.
absolutely. So changing gears a little bit here, I want to say that I did absolutely love your music video you all did for Ghost of Humanity. Especially like I like that there was all those like nuclear bomb clips, and those are very haunting and impactful, especially given our current state of affairs in the world. So I wanted you guys to tell me a little bit about the creative process for making that video and what led to using these aforementioned I can't talk, poignant imagery within it. And also, how was it working with Batty Thrash photography?
Well, we climbed a mountain, so that was a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
That entire music video and the photo shoot subsequent to it is literally climbing. I
It was
forget
in
the name.
Holyoke, Mount Tom. It was
Mount Tom. That's
Holyoke.
right. We literally climbed a mountain with Alex's whole drum kit, mind you.
I was gonna
Oh,
point
no.
that, in the morning, I was serious. I was really gonna leave behind the wheel, like a dolly and wheeler thing to carry the drums. I'm so glad I brought it because I did not expect, like for us to carry all like the drums, like particularly so like up those steep hills, and then try to hold on like as it goes down the hill, like up and down, especially after when we finish like taking the photos and the video.
By
Right,
far
100%.
the most physically
Dan
taxing band.
and I were like, yeah, like we're like hauling the drums like the entire way. We were like taking our time, but like when we got close to the car, we were both exhausted, and like I had to ask him to drop me off to work because I had to work like right after like
Oh,
a
no.
shoot, and I was like about just like 1 minute or late, but I barely made it. But and in work that we had a party for like 300 people like for dinner, like so that was
Oh,
another
gosh.
like, whoa.
So you slept good that night, is what you're saying.
Oh no, I had to go back to work in 6 in the morning.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
But
But working.
it was worth it. We had a lot of fun from our trip, like going to the mountain and doing the video shoot. It was a lot of fun.
For sure. And Maddie, working with Maddie made that like so great because like he is just like the chillest guy in the world. He he's just super nice, super accommodating, really talkative, which is great. Like if I wasn't like chit chatting that morning, I would have fallen asleep while walking. But and like he's like such an awesome creative force too. Like he was like guiding us on how to like pose and how to get like the correct lighting and stuff, and like couldn't speak more highly of Dr. Matty Thrash. That guy is awesome. And then like as far as the creative process for the album goes, this is my favorite question that you've asked so far. So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier with saying that like we just kind of combined the influences that we wanted to hear, and then like Eddie said earlier, we wanted to put together a meaningful message, and all of us are very societally conscious, and like we want to see more fairness and just less oppression in the world, and so our album turned out to reflect those sentiments in the way of being like Eddie said, like pretty anti-capitalist, and then also very pro-environment. The overarching message of Ghost of Humanity is that no matter what, if we don't change what we're doing right now, then the planet's going to die, and like that's just our inevitable fate unless we like change something about it. And like the way that we illustrated that was by our characters going to an entirely new planet and then not changing their behavior and then wrecking that planet completely. So it's like it's not a matter of place, it's not a matter of time, it's just gonna happen unless we change something about it. And like heavy metal like has been a wonderful way to express feelings of negativity and horror and just like anything that you might want to vent as a feeling. And lots of bands will go after these like you know, like fantasy kind of themes, like, you know, Cannibal Corpse sings about zombies, Dragon Force sings about like you know, like valiant heroes and stuff, but like,
It's all good.
which is all great stuff,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I'm not knocking any of that, but um actually, Mario Duplantier from Gojira put this in a way that really resonated with me. Real life is horrific enough. Like there's plenty to sing about in you know, in the realm of our reality, and so we chose to follow that, and you know, through metaphor and story, we decided to really tackle this like hard truth about our environment and our society, and you know, like vent our own feelings about it. And that's why songs like the title track Ghost of Humanity end in this horrifically like sad and grandiose way, and then songs like Legacy have like all of this like these blooming feelings coming off of the melodies and stuff. Meanwhile, like in the maw of reality is like just like jarring and like hits you in the face super hard, and then Grand Evil's Machine is like, you know, stomping you to the ground and like grinding your face into the dirt. It's like, this is what it feels like to, you know that to know that you're being um taken advantage of, not being paid enough, your environment's dying, and like, you know, speaking for myself as a trans person, there's a culture war being waged against me just because of who I am, and like it's all pretty nasty. So like being able to vent those feelings through our music was really really important to us, and that's kind of how we informed our musical decision making. Um, and yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. I just talked a lot.
No, that's
I will
all.
also
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
sorry, specifically on the new shots that you had asked about, those were actually Maddie's idea. What we wanted, so we filmed the music video, and we also did our photo shoots on an abandoned ski lodge in Mount Tom and Holyoke. The video was filmed, and some of the photos were also taken in the same location in what I'm assuming was like a like some kind of old garage. The door is gone. It's like just wet and gross and dank in there. And we set up all of our stuff, and we wanted to have the vibe that we were playing in a wasteland. Because the song Ghost of Humanity at this moment is about after humans have settled in a new place, the same tendencies start to cause the same problems, and that's kind of what's happening in the story at this moment. So we wanted to feel, we wanted the video to feel as if where we're playing in like a wasteland is kind of like a foreshadowing of what is to come if we continue our behavior. So being that, you know, we were in this gross, dank little garage. If you look outside of the garage, it's like a mountain behind us. There's like a quarry over there. It's like beautiful blue skies all over the place. There's a lake down the road, and it's like, oh, this is nature. That's not, you know, that's not a wasteland. We can make the inside of the garage look that way, but just the rest of the environment doesn't get that vibe. So Maddie's idea to get that vibe was to add all of those nuke shots in there and just like show the environmental destruction, instead of having it already having happened like we initially had the idea of, show it in progress with the nuke shots. And I thought that was genius because it didn't even register to me to do stuff like that, but that was a really good artistic creative thing that he brought to the table.
Yeah,
For sure. And like it fits that part of the story in the album so accurately, because like you said, Dan, it's like when people's tendencies are starting to shift towards the toxic again. So it's like, yeah, like this is an active happening at the moment, for sure.
Yeah,
Perfectly put.
absolutely. And that's what going back to the point about like, you know, the culture war and everything, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I am curious, because unfortunately I am in Florida and it's a disaster in many ways. And I've had talked to some friends that are trans, that I have some friends that have left or in the process of or leaving the state because of it. Is that something you guys factored into any touring locations, is things like that, where we have states that are
100%.
garbage like
Yeah.
mine?
So we are not gonna go to Florida until we figure out a way for me to stay safe.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
100%.
we would have done it like we would have continued on to maybe like Orlando or whatever if not for this kind of thing on our current tour. But we're stopping in Atlanta because you know, like, yeah, I'm sure you know this already, Brittany, but just to say it for anybody who might be listening, the way that the laws are in place in Florida right now, there is technically a pipeline for which I could be executed for being trans. And you know, the way they're pulling that off is by having drag be banned, and of course, drag just means trans people.
Mhm.
And they're banning it on the idea that it's like a sexual act and it's inappropriate and it should be in like clubs and clubs only. And then they put in a new law that says that if you commit a sexual crime in front of like a child, then you could receive the death penalty for doing so. Therefore, if you are trans and found to be doing drag in public, you can be accused and convicted of a sex crime. And if you did do it in front of a child, meaning if I exist in the same room as anybody under the age of 18, then technically a result of that could be giving me the death penalty. So we're not going to risk that.
No, I 100% do not blame you. We've thought about leaving the state, but for now we're like, you know what? We own a house here. Let's just stay and fight the good fight and try to change things as best we can. So
and
we're trying.
We appreciate. Like,
yes, I say we are
Thank
trying.
you.
There's no wrong decision there. Like either get the fuck out and keep yourself safe, or like stay and like, you know, like try and make a difference. Like either way, like you're doing great. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Listen, I would love to come see you guys.
Florida.
Yes, and I'd love to come see you guys. I was like, I was wondering about that because I was like, I know Florida wasn't on there, and I was like, assuming this is because it's not safe to be in Florida, because I have several friends that are like, I'm not going there because it's not safe, and I'm like, I am very sorry, I didn't choose this.
Yeah,
like this is.
It's been
I
a huge
voted
bummer
against
for me
it.
as well, just because like I love going on 70,000 tons of metal, but it leaves
Mhm.
out of Miami, so I
Yep.
can't go right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And there's like a legacy of death metal there, and we would love to do a show on the beach, but people have had to fuck that up.
Mhm.
with the shit we're kind of singing about on the record.
Yeah.
So it's been a really awesome setting up the tour, and Dan's, and we could all speak this, but Dan too. That just like-minded folk, enlightened folk, LGBTQ plus have been able to like across the country, because we haven't been south of Maryland, so having that network of safe places to go, and like places that have everyone will be welcomed as they should, has been very helpful in setting up the tour that we want.
Yeah. Thank you. So I didn't want you to feel, if I didn't want anyone to answer that if you were uncomfortable with it. I just was wondering if about that.
I love talking about this shit. Like
Okay.
it's, you know, I want to make people aware, and like I'm pissed. I want to express that I'm pissed that like
As you
I
should
have to be careful just because of who I am.
Just
you know what
because
I
you
mean?
exist.
Right.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this tour is for friends having an awesome time, and that's all it should be. And
Mhm.
other people shouldn't turn this into a big hate-filled thing and get their head out of their ass, and then we'll move on.
Well, speaking of, with talking about where we're talking about the space concept album and everything, Scorched Moon is obviously who you're touring with, and they also have a space themed concept album. So with both you touring together, obviously that's very fitting. Was that a happy coincidence? Did you guys specifically seek each other out based on that theme? How did that come about?
So, Trapper is a very good friend of, actually all of them are a very good friend of mine, but I met Trapper first, which is why I mentioned him. I lived in Atlanta for 2 years. I had a partner down there, and I got to meet Trapper while I was down there, and he was like concocting Scorched Moon as you know, as we were like hanging out there. And of course this was during the pandemic too, so like he like, you know, couldn't play and I couldn't play, but like it was cool to like see like how he was working. And then fast forward to when were like trying to plan the tour, Dan actually came to me and was like, hey, like, you know, like what if we get Scorched Moon? Like they have like a really cool like progressive spacey feel too. Like that would be super sweet. And I was just like, all right, let me freaking text Trapper real quick. And
I
then they were
had, yeah, I had no idea that she knew them. I just like found their album and was like, oh, this sounds kind of sonically similar to a lot of stuff we have, and it's also a Space Dance concept album. This band is cool. We should hit them up. Turns out she knows them.
I know everybody, bitches. Anyway,
So
but yeah,
it
no,
was both indeed. We did seek them out because of the Space Theme concept album, and we also happened to know them, which is a good, easy connection. So I don't know, it worked
So
out real well.
very, very happy coincidence and not coincidence at the same time.
Yep.
Awesome.
They've been great in collaborating on like Dan and Trapper been kind of like spearheading a lot of the tour logistics and stuff, and it's been a great collaboration. So we definitely been all geeking out about actually being on the road together. So like all this work's about to come to fruition here.
Absolutely. And I saw you guys had called the tour, is it the tour of Ice and Fire?
How
So
could you
Yeah.
not?
obviously that can go with, because like I was like, oh, this convenient, like their logo is more like fiery looking, yours is more ice looking, and obviously Ice Giant. And on top of that, just to add to like the coincidence thing, I literally, when we decided to do this, was I had just gotten back from Iceland, which is the land of ice and fire, so, or fire and
Yeah.
ice. So I was like, look at that, it's all coming together.
Oh, awesome.
But so obviously, you know, we've talked about this a little bit, that we guys are big science fiction fans. Do you guys have a favorite book, show, and or movie within
Dan,
that
you're up.
realm?
Oh, I don't know.
We got
So-
props.
We're talking. Like in terms of influence on the album, which it was all written before I was involved in Star Trek, definitely played a huge factor in that. But in terms of favorite books, I'm a massive Wheel of Time nerd. I can't get you the whole collection because there's 15 of them, but
Yeah,
this is
there's a
the
lot.
first one. There's a lot of them. I'm a pretty big fantasy sci-fi like reader fan. Wheel of Time season 2 coming out this Friday. So Thursday night at 8 p.m. actually Eastern Standard Time. The show is definitely the show. It's is it good? I don't know. We'll see. But you know, I'm gonna watch it. I've read the series twice. There's 15 books. It's like 4 million words. It's amazing. And fantasy is like, I also, let me see if I can grab this. It's okay. Here we go. Here's my other super fancy pretty book. This is my special edition of The Way of Kings by. Let me unblur my background so you can see. Oh nope, I turned my camera off. So this is my special fancy edition of The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This
Nice.
is leather bound. It's got gold leaf on the pages as well. So I'm a big fantasy fan, definitely. All that kind of stuff is my bread and butter. I was very happy to learn that Ice Giant was like a concept-based band in sci-fi. And as we've been working on the follow-up, you know, we're still very much in the early stages talking about that, but definitely in terms of like concept and lyrics and things like that, me being a massive fantasy nerd is absolutely going to have an influence on it. So yeah.
I'm so fucking excited because just yeah, I'm so fucking excited. Hell yeah.
Other ones, like I'm just really drawn to like the ones that, like I said with Star Trek earlier, like that had that theme like running through them, where they're like maybe dark and beautiful. Like so Blade Runner, especially 2049 for me, like is really awesome. And like I'm also an anime fan. Like on the art with the blue wires that go over to everybody, and that's like a symptom of the biomechanical plague. That was like slightly inspired by some things I saw on Akira. Like that Tetsuo gets like connected to, and like the pain and that and things like that. So yeah, I like me some sci-fi.
We're all adjacent, if not like direct anime fans as well. Like I really enjoy there's like some like strange like futuristic animes that like I really like I don't know if anybody has heard of Arcane out there, but like
Mhm.
really
We watched
enjoyed
it
that.
together.
I know, yeah. For the listeners, I know you know. And then like I watched Ruby a bunch when that was coming out, so that was really cool. Um, but yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like I don't know. It's hard to explain this feeling without first being like, okay, so this is the way my mind works. By the way, I'm autistic. And also, this is like, the nuances that go into the way I think, blah, blah, blah. Like, so I'm going to leave it there for the time being.
Mhm.
That, yeah, we're all anime fans. And like that kind of like presentation and unique way of doing art definitely seeps into our music as well.
So it's fitting because I'm wearing my Princess Mononoke pants right now, so
Yeah,
That's my
that's
favorite
that's one
Ghibli!
of
Oh my
Favorite.
I
god!
love it so
Favorite.
much. I also
I
have
used-
like a little Kodomo like tattooed on my foot that just like hangs out with me. So
Yes! Ah, that's so cool!
yes.
you can see it in my old videos. I have a Princess Mononoke poster like right next to my desk. That kind of stuff just blows me away.
Let's see, I don't know if I can get it, but I have a whole costume that I made. Let me see if I can reach it.
Hold on. I also have things to show. I'll be right back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yes.
I have a
Yeah,
I have
let's
a three-
go.
I have
That
a
is.
I have a
That's
3D
so
printer
great.
and I printed and painted
That's
and
so cool.
Oh,
That
so
is so
you 3D
cool.
printed that.
yep, I
That's so
created
sick.
a
I
design
love
from
that.
scratch and 3D printed. I was so proud of myself.
Oh wow.
Yes. I have
That's
my
sick.
little stuffed Appa from
Oh, I
Avatar: The
love him.
Last Airbender here.
I love him.
Yeah, me too.
Hmm.
He's a good.
Awesome.
Alex, are you an anime fan?
Yeah, no, I don't know much. I haven't watched that much lately. So far, it's just because of work.
Next Ice Giant movie night is going to be next Ice Giant anime night.
Wait,
Yeah. No,
wait. No, guys. We have to watch Princess Mononoke together. Oh my god.
I was
oh my
gonna
god.
suggest. I was gonna say. I feel
Yeah,
like Princess
we are.
Mononoke is a good intro to that kind of stuff because it's
Yeah.
it's
A lot
very
of similar
dark,
themes.
but also very enlightening. And
Yeah.
it's like it
yeah.
reminds me of like this is gonna sound silly, but it always reminded me of like the anime like Dark Fern Gully.
Yeah, yeah.
I love Fern Gully too.
Oh
So
yes,
good.
Yeah.
so good.
Lots of similar themes to our album too. Princess Mononoke and Fern Gully, both like industrialization, how it
Yeah.
has an effect on the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So speaking of we're kind of coming towards the end here, but out of curiosity, along with obviously things like anime and stuff like that, what other interests do you guys have outside of music? They're right there. They're
I'm just
like, I
gonna
got
hold
this.
up Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time is my obsession. And like it's most of my friends are really sick of me at this point just because I don't shut up about Wheel of Time. But oh yeah, Eddie's got the sword.
I've been actually studying HEMA a little bit and trying to get somewhat efficient with this. It's hard to find a studio or a studio or dojo, whatever you call it, to actually work around here, but it's been very therapeutic. And I don't know if it's gonna be a security measure on tour. No, kidding. Absolutely kidding.
But, we'll have smaller knives. What? Who said that?
Yeah, I want a bust sword. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bust
Reach up to the
sword!
ceiling.
Let's go!
Bust sword.
Hear me out. If I could have been in Atlanta the time you guys were there, like for Prog Fire and stuff, like if I could have been there, I have a full size like working batleth.
Shut the fuck up! Oh my god!
Yes,
That's so cool!
It sits next to my bed because I'm like, if there's ever an intruder, I can get them with the batleth, and then I can just be like, I'll be the best Florida woman headline.
There
Yes!
you go.
Oh my god, if I was an intruder and somebody showed up with a batleth, I'd be like, nope, you win. I'm turning around. See you later. So to answer your question, Brittany, so there's like two things that like really like pervade me outside of music, and one of them is like super deep and the other one's like not at all. But so like just with my transition, I like literally my brain chemistry is changing. So like I love like reading about and then like experiencing other people's perspectives on like, just what it's like to turn into a woman. And so like I spend a lot of my time reading about that and just like spending time with other trans folks, just like, kind of connecting over that stuff. And it's really sweet. So that's the really deep one. And then the other one is I fucking love fast cars so much, dude. Um, like these guys can vouch, like whenever we're like in the car together, even if we're talking, if something like green and shiny goes by, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. Can confirm.
Yeah. And like I got a new to me car recently. And like I could have picked, like I wanted a small pickup truck. So like I could have gotten like, like a Tacoma or like an old Nissan Frontier or whatever. But nope, I got the Ford Explorer Sport Track, which is objectively not a great pickup truck, but it looked so freaking weird that I was just like, oh yeah, I gotta do that one.
I totally understand that. For the longest time growing up, I wanted the Subaru Baja because I was like, it looks so weird.
I love a Subaru Baja. Those are so weird. Yes, hell yeah.
Well, we've neglected to mention our shared hobby, D&D.
Oh my God! Yeah, I can't believe we've forgotten to do that. Literally, our dice are right here. Yeah. So, Dan, you're in a game with the PQ guys, right?
I want to start it. It hasn't started yet. But yeah, I've been talking about this for like years. I'll just like, so it's Alex and I have another band, Perennial Quest. It's a power metal band. And to put it mildly, everybody in Perennial Quest is fucking crazy. So the thought of our Perennial Quest Dungeons and Dragons game, just recording it and putting it out to the world, the concept of that is so funny to me because, we'll have like, like I'll take it a little bit seriously and like Davey might take it a little seriously, but then like Sam and Andrew are probably gonna like, they're just going to create the most absurd, ridiculous characters, and Sam's character is probably going to like be like a milk mage or something like that, like ridiculous, absurd bullshit.
I love it.
So yeah, no, I want to do that, but we haven't done it yet.
That's awesome.
Just to give some perspective on how like insane Perennial Quest is. So Dan, you have mentioned many times that that the Wheel of Time is your favorite. What is rolling out soon that corresponds to this love of yours? You don't have to actually explain it super hard if you don't want to.
There's the amount of lore that I have to explain to make this really make sense is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be recounting months and months and months of times. But basically, we used to do this thing where Perennial Quest likes to run jokes into the ground until they're just not funny anymore. And what we started doing in like mid 2022, I want to say, is anytime we make a joke, then like one of our chosen jokes of the month that we just like are running into the ground and it's not funny anymore, then like the person that made the joke has to drink a punishment drink. And it's we've changed up what it is over time, but like it's just like it's a conscious combination of the most disgusting things imaginable. It got to the point where we had Andrew drink just like it was like root beer, liquid smoke, instant mashed potatoes, like Vienna hot dog juice. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. Because this was around when Top Gun Maverick was coming out, and he's obsessed with Top Gun. So like he would just talk about Top Gun constantly, and then we had to like put a stop to it. So naturally, Wheel of Time Season 2 is coming out. Good luck, it's my turn. So it's my turn. God, I'm gonna be destroyed. We've decided to have me drink what's called a rat water Negroni. Mm-hmm. The Negroni is a cocktail with Campari and vermouth and things like that. So what we've decided to do is replace all of the ingredients with a slightly grosser alternative, including like a Malort. There's a I don't know what it's actually called, but there's a Chinese licorice liqueur that's just disgusting. Um, an absolute ridiculous amount of Angostura bitters, just like everything. It's disgusting. So I'm gonna be like completely dead in about
Oh
2
my
months
gosh.
from drinking all of these. It's gonna be funny.
See, that's kind of stuff you put
Too
that
bad.
online, make it go viral. Because
Oh yeah, yeah.
and,
No,
and, and like
just
have the band playing in the background, so you're like, see, look, we're promoting the band at the same time.
I mean,
Yeah.
follow Dan Saillant on TikTok. Like he does
Yeah.
document this stuff.
Oh yes, I would
yeah,
love to.
yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Out of curiosity, have you guys heard of MagFest?
Oh hell yeah! So Dan and I live with a third guy named Tyler who actually worked at that a
Okay.
couple years ago as their sound guy.
Okay, yeah, because I
Yeah,
was like,
It
because
was yeah.
both of the bands sound like you guys would be like perfect for playing MagFest, because that's I grew up in Maryland, and so like I always was like I always constantly was going to MagFest every year, and it's just like so much fun. And like we've had like our friend has a band called Bethlehem that's played there,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So it's like it's just like
Oh, I saw them at Mad with Power last year.
they're the nicest guys, but they're such dorks, but like in the best way, because I'm
Hell
such
yeah.
a dork. So like when I say that, when I say such dorks, I mean that in a very loving and good way.
Hell yeah. And real quick, you said Maryland. I'm sitting in Southern Maryland right now.
Oh
That's
really?
where I'm from as well.
I'm
Yeah.
from Frederick, so
Oh yeah. I don't want to disclose my direct location.
no,
on
you
it,
don't have to. I just,
but
since I don't live there anymore, I say
I'm not far.
Yeah, nice small
Yeah,
world, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome, Alex. I don't think we got to. What's your hobbies outside of music? Hiking up mountains with drum sets.
Yeah, yeah, that's a warm up every day.
Normal workout in the morning before work.
Let's see. Mostly to like cooking and as well as exercising. Well, like
Scott can cook.
not as with the exercising part though. It's been on hold just because of a back injury, which I'm currently trying to take care of later this year. But then, like, hopefully, we'll get back on track on that. But as for cooking, I don't know. Yeah, just something I really enjoy, like when cooking for friends or family. Definitely, yeah. Then I got to when Perennial Quest and Ice Giant played. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
It was last year. RPM, yeah.
Yeah, RPM Fest. I wanted to cook everyone like a nice meal, like a meal, like in the campsite. So I made like a homemade hamburger helper because that was the only ingredients I had left, before we were heading out, the next day.
It was incredible.
It was
incredible.
And-
I rolled back to the campsite unbelievably day drunk because it's a festival and I'm gonna be feral all weekend. And just like I just see Alex with this giant portable grill with a propane tank, and he's wearing gloves, and he's got like a giant like wok looking pan, and he's just like going crazy with the mac and cheese. And I'm just like, dude, I've had 15 beers. It's 1 p.m. I need this in my life, and it was crazy.
That sounds like perfect, like festival food like that.
Yeah, for me,
He saved lives that day.
Yeah, also I think the morning of I did make everyone breakfast too.
Yes.
Like bread
Oh
and
man, that was the
bacon.
best. I woke up at like 8 that morning and then went and showered because we were about to go play, and then like I came back and then there was just bacon and eggs and toast, and I was like, oh yeah, all right, let's go.
Perfect.
Yeah, to me, when it comes to cooking for a special occasion, like whether it be hangout or like spending time with friends or family, just love seeing like the faces, there's like people enjoying the something I make, especially like when it comes to Thanksgiving. Like it's just it keeps me happy and seeing them happy.
Yeah.
It feels like when it comes to like having a nice whether it be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, like it's like something like everyone's going to be happy. Like, at that moment, you're enjoying something, but also talking about anything like life or how everyone's doing, and or just having laughs and just having a great time, really.
Alex is a giver, and we appreciate it.
The last.
Huh?
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, man makes a mean pizza too.
That's what I'm about to. The last.
I knew you were gonna talk about it, so I had to set you up.
Yep. Ice Giant movie night. He made this.
Again, yeah.
It wasn't quite a Sicilian. It was What was you calling it?
I was trying to make like a grandma style, but I think it was just regular, just like a sheet pan pizza, honestly. But
It was the bomb. It was awesome. And I was driving back to Maryland that day, and I got a bag of that. Kept me alive going home. And there some crumbs fell by my feet in the car, and I had to leave them there for a few days. They were like sentimental. I couldn't. No, but that was he making me and pizza. We got to figure out what the Ice Giant anime night. Maybe after tour we'll have an Ice Giant anime night to celebrate tour, and like got to figure out a smorgasbord to work up here. But
Nice.
I still got all my fucking Wisconsin cheese that we got to burn through too. So
ooh.
Oh.
I think you think of something nice with that one.
yeah, I was out at Mad with Power last weekend. No, sorry, 2 weekends ago, and of course, if you're in Wisconsin, you gotta get all the cheese you can. So I got like a maple syrup infused cheddar. I got a chocolate cheddar, and then I got like a 15-year-old ridiculously sharp cheddar, and like just so good, very very nice.
Nice. Ooh. You could use some of that and put that on the pizza, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm eating all of that.
Oh, no, just got
it. It's not going to make it for 2 weeks.
We'll make it to the pizza.
That block of chocolate cheese, oof, no, nobody's touching that but me.
That's an interesting one. I'm going to get some chocolate cheese. Try that out.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, me too. I never tried that either. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that tastes. Chocolate and cheese put together. Wow,
it's really really good.
So, coming towards the end here, just when we were talking about like touring and stuff, if you all just as like a fun, you can pick whatever you want. Like if you could pick one band to like tour with, either them just touring with you, opening for, even just like a one-off show, who would you pick?
Amon Amarth, no question.
Amon
that
Amarth?
would be the sickest in the world. I love them. They're so much fun. I learned how to do my like deep guttural vocals by copying Johan Hegg to start at least, and like their sensibilities as musicians are incredible to me. Like just the way that they compose their sounds informs a lot of the way that I like to do the same. So like I look up to them as musicians and performers, and also just like as a young kid first discovering extreme metal, just like hearing Guardians of Asgard and being like, we're the Guardians, just like yeah, like so cool. So if we got to open for them, I would be over the moon.
Yeah. Nice. I just saw them the other day open up for Ghost too, and there's a lot of people that never heard of them there before, and everyone's bro,
yeah. I wanted to go to that show first and foremost for the people watching, because I was like, I want to see the people that have never heard of Amon Amarth, like the Ghost fans, like just combine that crowd would be just fantastic. But it was going to be like in the next day or so, and they canceled it because of hurricane. So.
Like later on I'm gonna have it like, I should have said that band where like Flesh God is definitely a special band for me. That would be really cool. And they're a road beast, and I got the opportunity just to open up from one show when I was in Viva Sepultura, and they were just incredibly nice and super cool. So just being on a tour with them, that like would be absolutely sick. But Ice Giant, I think, kind of like in that same vein with Amon Amarth, I think will work for a lot of different crowds. I think a prog crowd could work for us. I think a death metal crowd. I think a power metal crowd. So that's a hard list to pick from, but yeah,
you got lots of
close
options.
to close to Heart Flesh God be pretty cool.
Dan, Alex, what are you guys thinking?
If I had to pick which band, like two bands, I would like to open for one day or have us, but I would say like Between the Buried and Me. I think like it fits like well, with Ice Giant is also like progressive, but also like with Between the Buried and Me is also like progressive, but more complex in my opinion. That or that my brother introduced me to Between the Buried and Me like when I was in college, and just was blown away really, like especially with Blake's drumming. Like it opened a new map for me to explore, or like to like learn like more on the progressive side of drums, because before I used to just specifically just play like straight just double bass and like like thrash type of beats, or just like, or everyone, or as Andrew would say, like the Dragon Force beat.
Mm-hmm.
But with when I listened to Between the Buried and Me, it was something different. It was not like just straight up not just double bass, or the Dragon Force beat. It was just something different. Like I see him utilizing like rudiments, like different like techniques, especially like he's like so articulate with the fills and everything, and the different time signatures, like how he plays on the drums, like on each record that releases. It's so hard to follow, but at the same time, like makes me want to like learn more. Like, how does he do that? Like, I wish I would like to learn how to do that one too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good pick.
Second band would probably, I this would not probably fit with like Ice Giant, but I would, me on a personal level, when it comes to inspiration, I would say Dimmu Borgir. Is because
dude, I would kill. That would be so fucking cool.
Yeah, when I was in high school, at the time, the drummer Nicholas Barker, he's like one of the most like super talented like metal drummer like I've ever heard, and he inspired me like back when I was like in like eighth grade, or that basically got me set to like want to like have the drum set I have built the drum set I have now, and or just want to play like blast beats and all that stuff, and go as fast, trying to go like be as good as him. I like just to open with Dimmu Borgir. I would like beg to like let me come and play with them or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
yeah. They inspired me a lot back in the day.
Yeah, Beyond Creation is the dream for me. Like I heard that first album like a decade ago, completely changed the way that I thought about bass and everything. And musically, they're amazing. They have 3 albums. I think they're all perfect.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite bands ever. That would be the dream.
Nice. Well, getting ready to wrap up here. So a combination of what is next for you all, and what else would you like to add before we sign off?
We got this. We're about to hit this. Like have something that we've been waiting years for. And speaking for myself, I've been waiting to feel this way about a release my entire life. But we're about to release this record in like 10-11 days, which is blowing our mind. We're about to go on this tour from Mass to Georgia, and then when we get back, we're gonna get down to recording some other releases coming up. Not to disclose too much, but some other releases coming up, and we're gonna get to
big things coming.
writing. Yeah, big things coming. Hashtag big things coming. And we also have a lot of ideas already for the next record. Like Dan said, it's in that early stage, but we're gonna be seeing through those rest of the stages as soon as we get back. I think there's some more ways that we want to convey some other songs on the record. Like so far, people have only seen 2 music videos and 1 visualizer for the third. So some other possible content around other songs on the Ghost of Humanity record might be on the horizon as well. And yeah, so very, very, very busy, and more touring, hopefully.
Awesome. Anything else you guys want to add before we sign off?
Yeah, trans liberation now. I'm sure your listeners can get down with that. Equity for everybody. Let's fucking go. And what else? Guillotine billionaires. Sure. Anyway,
Yeah.
not that I'm gonna get too political here. But yeah, no. Everything Eddie said is true. We're working on more material. New stuff, as in like what we are writing for what will eventually be Ice Giant 3 is uncomfortable. It is going to be anxiety inducing, super fast, and just bleh. So look forward to that.
I will.
In a good
Hell
way.
yeah, in a good way for sure. What else? We are waiting on the last bits of our merch to be shipped to us. So
we're going to be shipping all that out before we leave for tour. So get pre-orders in now.
Yeah. Well, that's so right. That's what I'm getting to. I'm going to link our Bandcamp, where we have our merch with all of our pre-order bundles and things like that. So if you do want to have a bit of Ice Giant merch in your life, soon, then do order some pre-order stuff. And while we are going to be together during this week leading up to tour, we're going to be able to autograph things. So if that's something that you'd like, then we can certainly do that. And trying to think. Hit up our GoFundMe if you want to just like contribute to our cause. And I think that's it.
We have other forms of content and stuff also going through Ice Giant TikTok, Ice Giant YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and like different kinds of content relating to the songs and not, like some funny stuff, some performance things. So
Yeah.
like and subscribe.
Absolutely. I'll have everything linked in like the description area. I'll get links from you guys for everything. Make sure I got it all set up and we'll get that all linked for you guys. Okay.
Thank you very much. Also,
Awesome.
quick shout out to Squala Grind, who is hitting up Europe, which is fucking sick for them. They're a fellow Massachusetts band who has like the most relentless touring schedule I've ever seen in my fucking life. Yeah, they're doing great. Hitting up Europe right now. Also, fellow gender divergent folks in that band, and that just makes me super happy. So hell yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need more representation. So.
Yeah. And just one last thing from the bottom of all of our hearts, like every shout out, like, comment, positive vibe from everybody is just really appreciated. So thank you for supporting our art and like what we do, and we're going to keep on pouring our souls out for y'all because we really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. This has been really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Of course. So you guys all have a great rest of your day, all right?
You too.
You
Stay
too.
safe.
Bye.
Bye.